GM guys, yeah, not Martin here. This is the video to show the OG Compute Python SDK I just built for integrating zero G um by Python developers, right? So we know how much of Python developers we have in the whole world, and yes, I've had a lot of people reaching out to me on integrating OG and they don't know TypeScript. So this is just a better way for them to work with it, right? So I'll just run you quick through the project architecture. So this is the contract from the official zero G ecosystem. So yeah, so we have it here. So this is the ABI, this is the address for the ledger address for from zero G, this is the inferencing serving address, this is the fine tune address, everything. Then we copied the ABI from the official TypeScript SDK. So that was what we used to build this new tool, right? So let me just walk you through it. So this is the main entry point for the SDK, right? So this is just where you have everything being exported out so that it can be imported. Then you have your auth.py, which is just for authentication and signature, on the when you are integrating. Then you have your broker account. This is like your account on the inferencing world, right? So this is your main broker account, which is what you will use like a gateway to access the old services in the inference SDK, and where this is how you interact with the providers. So this is just exceptions for handling errors and stuff like that. So this is the inference.py. So this is basically where you have all the operations of inferencing, right? You have your list service, you have get service. This is where you acknowledge providers. This is where you create a provider account, you verify codes, you understand. So you get service metadata, which is actually very necessary for getting response from a provider. This is where you get your request header, you process response. So this is basically what handles everything. And this is not a wrapper, right? So everything is being hard coded. This is the ABI automata, everything is, we use X and everything. So after we have our inference, and the next one is the ledger. So this is your account, right? So this is how you interact with your account. You can deposit funds, you can get ledger. So you can see the deposit funds. Basically it has everything it's doing. It converts your OG to way, then it calls the contract function. So everything is working well. Then this is just models, nothing much. So this is just the general setup, right? um Basically it's just something like package or JSON, right? So nothing special per se. So this is just utilities to help, right? Like just helper functions. Now so let's go to a test script. So this is a test script. Let me just zoom in a bit so that you can see what is actually going on. Yeah. So this is our test script, right? So let's just test um let's query the provider, right? So our query is just to ask a particular provider. We want to ask the provider who is the highest World Cup owner in the world, right? So once we send this query to the provider queries its inference and then send us the answer back, right? So let's just walk through it one after the other. So the first thing first is obviously we have to initialize our broker, right? So this is where we create broker. So we get our private key from our environment. So this is the testnet link. So once we get that, then we want to initialize our broker, right? So okay, this is just import, and then we load our environmental variables here, nothing serious per se. So I need to show you something first. A minute please. Okay, test broker initialization. So this is where we actually initialize it, right? So there's a create broker function, right? So which is what we call, so you can see it here, like the factory function to create a broker instance, right? So this is like the a summary of how to actually write this function, right? So you have it here. So once you create your broker account, then you can start. So you see, the first thing we do is let's get the services that is available, right? So once we get the services available, the next thing is you pick a particular provider, right? Me, I love using a particular provider, so that was why I pick the second provider on the list. So if you want to use the first provider on the list, you can just press the first list. And you know, obviously in programming, the first value in a list starts from zero, the index is zero. So but me, I love using the second provider, so I use one. So after you get the provider, the next thing is you get the address of the provider, which is what we are doing here. So after getting the address of the provider, the next thing is we want to make sure that we actually have enough money, right? Because you have to deposit into a provider sub account, because it's pay as you go. So you are paying for what you are using. So we just want to make sure that we have enough money in the provider account, so that we don't get an error, right? So that was why we did this particular try and catch here. So we check the balance. So if we have less than 0.1, then we want to deposit money into the sub account of the provider, right? So if we deposit money, or if you have enough, then we can move on to the next step, which is acknowledging a provider, right? So this is where you acknowledge a provider. So we call the broker, which we initialize in the first place, then dot inference, then dot acknowledge provider signer, right? Then we pass in the provider address, which is what we got from here, right? So once we get that, the next thing we want to do is we actually want to get the service metadata, which is where you get your endpoint, you get your model, because you need your endpoint to send a request to, and then you need your particular model to use, right? So once you get your metadata using the provider address, then we save our endpoint because we need it, then we save our model, right? So after that, the next thing we want to do is ask the question: who owns the largest number of football World Cups in the world? So this is our question, right? So we just want to construct it into a list, which is what is required by the service provider. So this is the role of the user. The content is this question that we asked here, right? So you can definitely just copy all these things and put it here, right? Just make sure it's well formatted. So after you have that, the next thing you want to do is get the request headers, right? So which is actually you send in the provider address that you sent, and then JSON, then you dump the message as a JSON file, right? So after that, the next thing we want to do is post it, right? It's going to be a post request, because we have, it is not just a get request whereby you just get a value back. We want to actually send, we have arguments to send, right? Which is where we have an header. We want to send an header, which is what we got back earlier from here, right? And then we want to send the JSON as well. So once you send those two, right, you get back a response object. So you have to actually process the response object, right? So response.json, you just want to convert it back to JSON so that you can easily format it. Then you get your answer, which is the answer from the JSON file. Then after that one, this one is just formatting to have a proper a better way to view it, right? So what else? Nothing else. This is just other additional functions. So this is where we just call the main Python file. This is like the normal thing for Python developers, right? So this is just to call this particular file, that this is not a module or something like that. So yeah, so now that we have it, so this is what we did. We call the broker, we create a broker account. After creating a broker account, then we test query provider, which is the function that we have been learning since, which is actually this function to query which club has the highest amount of World Cup holders in the world. So since we're done with this, so let's try out our app. So let me try resuming. Yeah, so first thing you want to do is you actually want to let me try to zoom out. So you want to actually activate your Python environment, which is the norms in Python for Python developers. So after you activate your Python environment, the next thing you want to do is run the function. So we have to do python 3 test.py, right? So if I run this now, because of what we did here, because of what we did here, right? So if I run this app, he already knows that this is what I want to do, right? Because this is what is under the main function. So he runs this, he creates a broker address. After he creates the broker address, he passes the broker as an object to this argument of the test query provider that we want to ask. So now that we have an understanding of that, let's run our app. So once we run it like this, it's testing broker initialization. So broker is initialized, this is my address. So it uses this particular provider, right? So this is the main ledger balance. It checks my balance if I have enough. So okay, I have 8.4 OG, right? So he acknowledges provider. So it checks that my main ledger already exists, right? So there is no reason to acknowledge again because I already acknowledged them earlier. So after this, it checks for my account. I already have an account with the provider, so fine. So this is the endpoint we got back. So this is the endpoint we are getting the code from. So after that one, we did our TE signature already acknowledged. Then we send our request to this particular endpoint. So this is the model we're using. So this is the header, right? This header has to be generated once. So after this one, we got a response back, which is response of 200. We got our response header. Then we got, the question was, who owns the largest number of football World Cup in the world? And then we got our answer: Brazil holds the world record with the most FIFA World Cup titles, having won the tournament 5 times. So it gives us back our answer, right? So and then it shows that all tests passed, right? So yeah, so this is just a demo to show you that this actually work, right? So this is not a wrapper, so we actually code it from the very bottom using just two things. We use the ABI, and then we use the contract addresses, and then obviously we tend to follow what was built the TypeScript SDK. So and this is the preview of the Redmi, which is well documented. So you see the structure of how everything works right here. So I took my time to write a very full-blown documentation so that you understand it, right? So yeah, so thank you so much, and if you have another question, let me know. Yeah, bye.